Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sharon Stroy. I am the Director for Public Engagement in the School of Public Affairs and Administration. It is my absolute pleasure to come before you today in recognition of Hispanic Heritage Month. It is my pleasure to share, to participate in a conversation with the next generation of leaders. You are going to have an opportunity to hear from some amazing young people who all happen to be graduates from the School of Public Affairs and Administration. In New Jersey, we are celebrating because the Hispanic and Latino population is one of the fastest growing population in New Jersey. Hispanic and Latino residents are also the fastest growing entrepreneurs and business leaders. And so in this month, and yes, it may be only a month, but we have to recognize that our Hispanic and Latino brothers and sisters have contributed to the growth, the development, not just in the state of New Jersey, but in this country. And at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce your moderator and turn it over to her. Our moderator for this evening is Claudia Saavedra. Claudia currently serves as a senior public sector consultant at Crowe LLP, a national public accounting and consulting firm. She provides consultation to clients in government, higher education, and nonprofit institutions. In her role, she specializes in providing client solutions in risk management, accounting, grants compliance, and internal audit. Her passion for activism while navigating inequities as a first-generation college graduate has guided her throughout her career. At the age of 20, Claudia was elected as the first Latina woman on the Board of Trustees of County College of Morris as the alumni trustee, representing 8,000 plus students. She has served as an Aspen Institute Fellow and a Dalai Lama Fellow, a Braven Fellow, Resolution Project Fellow, Management Leadership for Tomorrow Fellow, and a 4.0 Schools Essential Fellow. She has served as a guest speaker at the Aspen Ideals Festival and recognized by media such as Google for Hispanic Heritage Month, New Jersey Business Insider, and Her Campus Media. Claudia graduated with her master's degree in public administration in 2020 and bachelor's degree in public and nonprofit administration in 2018 at the top of her class as an Honors Living Learning Community Scholar at Rutgers University. It is my pleasure to turn this conversation, this discussion over to our moderator, Claudia Saavedra.
Thank you, Director Stroy, for that introduction. Sometimes I forget that I do some things. But I'm so grateful to be here with everyone and so grateful to learn more about the panelists and like what they do. So I want to start off this panel discussion just to open it up the floor to the panelists to introduce themselves, provide your name, the year you graduated, your current role, and the reason for selecting your current role or position or career field that you're in currently. Anyone can start.
I can start. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maria Zamora. I currently serve as the Assistant Director for Undocumented Student Services at Rutgers University, Newark. So I work in student affairs. I graduated with my bachelor's in 2019 and with my MPA in 2021. And I decided to go into student affairs because, well, specifically undocumented student services, because I wanted to work with undocumented students as well as within immigration policy. So I really like the fact that I could mix immigration policy and higher ed, which is very rare to do in student affairs. So I'm very happy where I am, and definitely I want to see how this position grows.
So hi, my name is Simon Lopez. I also got my bachelor's and my master's in SPA. Currently, I'm working at Mass Mutual Life Insurance Company. However, I'm in their cybersecurity organization doing talent management kind of work. However, outside of that, I'm also a board commissioner for the Trenton Housing Authority, and more recently been I'm the chairperson of what's being called the Youth Workforce Committee for a nonprofit in Trenton called the Capital City Community Coalition, which is a coalition of a lot of public agencies and public service organizations and nonprofit organizations coming together to really try to reduce violence in the city of Trenton.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Amalie Garcia. I received my bachelor's from SPA in the spring of 2020. Currently, I'm a community health worker at Greater Newark Healthcare Coalition, and I chose this role because I like to help people and I have a specific interest in people's health. I obtained my master's in public health in 2021. So this position allows me to work with social determinants of health and people in my community.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Eric Cruz. I graduated with my bachelor's from Rutgers Newark in 2018. And then in 2019, I graduated with my MPA. And right now I'm currently working at the Fund for New Jersey. So we're a private foundation we're based in Princeton, and we provide support to a lot of other nonprofit organizations in the state of New Jersey that are advocating for affordable housing, immigration, environmental justice, and a lot of different issues that are affecting different marginalized communities all throughout the state. So I'm looking forward to our discussion today.
Thank you, everyone. It's so great to just know that we all graduated from SPA, but yet we pursue different career paths. So with that, what made you choose SPA and to receive your degree? Like why did you pick Rutgers? Why did you pick Rutgers SPA?
I could go ahead and take this one first. I know for me, I didn't know a degree like this existed until I discovered it, and that I didn't know what I wanted to major in when I first came into school. I knew that one of my long-term career goals, and really just life goals, not even anything to do with my career, was to be able to volunteer and participate in the city of Trenton, especially in the area of youth mentorship and development. I noticed that a lot of people would make it out of my community because my community is a place where people say, I want to make it out. And then, they wouldn't leave behind any mentorship or role models to look up to. And so once I found out about this degree, I thought to myself, okay, this is the degree that's going to teach me how I can give back to my community. It's going to teach me where I can go and how I can be involved. And that was my reason for selecting it.
I can go next. And the reason why I selected Rutgers Newark was actually I didn't have much choice, but Rutgers Newark was one of the only schools in the state of New Jersey that was helping undocumented students. So they were one of the first institutions to really support DACA recipients. And so I came here because they supported me through a partnership that they had with a national organization called the Dream.us. And I came to SPA because I wanted to be involved in public policy and public administration. And I thought the School of Public Affairs and Administration would be a great place, especially with their BA MPA program that they had. I thought it would be a great opportunity to be able to take advantage of that.
I can go next. So my reason for choosing Rutgers, it was just a great school. I did not have many years in the country, but it was told that this was a great school and it was very close to home. I also was part of the Honors Live and Learning community, and that was an opportunity that I really wanted to pursue at Rutgers Newark. when I came in, I actually was not a SPA student. I was pursuing another major, but as I continue into my freshman year, I did not find myself being fulfilled by this major. I think that coming to this country towards the middle of high school, not really knowing what were my options, I pursued a more standard career. And then I started doing more research about what is out there. Like, I really want to know what school can offer. And I came across SPA, and I read about it, and I asked questions, and you know, everything around it was like serving the community, serving people. And that's something that really connected with me. And that's part of my personal and professional goals. So I was like, this is great. And I spoke to some of my mentors, and they supported this decision. And also SPA just was a great school in general. It is one of the top ranked public administration schools in the country. So that really enlightened me to make the choice to come to SPA.
So I chose Rutgers. I actually only applied to Rutgers after I graduated community college. I don't know what I was thinking, but that was the only one that I applied to. I got accepted. I got a fantastic scholarship. And before I even declared my major, I heard Dean Stroy at the time speak on a panel to a bunch of HLLC students. I myself am an HLC scholar, and it really sold me on picking the major. It's something I didn't hear about before. We all hear about poli-sci, criminal justice. So I was really persuaded to go to SPA. And I even remember my first day at orientation, and we all go to our separate schools for orientation. I was the only one at the SPA orientation, and Dean Stroy was only speaking to me, and I felt really special at the time. And I said to myself, like, this is it. I was meant to be here. There was like food everywhere. It was just me and Destroy. And I really decided that not only do I feel good about my decision, I felt really safe. So that's why I chose Rutgers, and I chose SPA.
Yeah, I mean, Rutgers as a whole, it just, especially Rutgers SPA, it seems huge because you're thinking Rutgers is such a big school. But then, Maria, what you're pointing out is SPA is such a tight-knit community. And we're all brought together into this degree. Like what everyone said on this panel already is because of we want to serve, we want to help our communities. And so when you guys completed your degree, do you feel you were prepared for a leadership role in your current company or organization or industry that you're in currently?
I'll take that one. So when I graduated college, I immediately started in the workforce, and I became an assistant director off the bat and student affairs, which is really unheard of. And I needed a lot of confidence, and I spoke a lot to Dean Stroy and other individuals at Rutgers. And to be quite honestly, I wouldn't have taken the role unless I knew that I had individuals to back me up. And I knew that my education, which really did help a lot, especially in the grant writing and managing an office, I felt confident that I was able to do it, especially as a young professional. You go into a role thinking you're not good enough, and you get that imposter syndrome. So I definitely had a good support system within SPA that helped, and not only when I was in a graduate coordinator with my office, but when I did graduate. So I was given that confidence and say, yes, you can do it. And the reason why is because we've had other alumni from SPA take similar high ranking roles once they graduate. So you can do it. So I think it was not so much academic. I think it was more of like emotional and support that really did help, because you can write very well, you can speak very well, but the moment you get into a job and you can't, BS it. You really have to make your way through, especially as a minority, as a woman. You really have to show that you could do your job.
I also think that the SPA degree did prepare me for leadership in my organization. So I'm in this private company, which, I'm very happy about. Didn't really think was going to be the case when I first graduated, but I'm here and it is a great company. But I first came in as a contractor, helping them to build out their internship program. They had a little bit of stuff because HR used to take care of it. Afterwards, HR said, we're not going to be running this anymore. You have to do it yourself. It's a large company, by the way, 10,000 employees. So for them, they're used to that support. So they hired me as a contractor based on some past experience to help them build it out. And from there, I was really, you could say, managing up, working with people and telling them, hey, this is what the expectations are when I'm talking to managers, and building out documentation and laying things out in a way that I was taught to be able to do it in my SPAA degree. In addition, understanding organization and understanding management, and being patient and overcoming obstacles, and doing so in a short period of time, because they actually hired me 2 months before the start of the internship. So interns were already hired. A lot of things were kind of, in that sense, done, but the actual planning of what they were going to go through wasn't. And so I know that the pace of SPAA and the content of SPAA really helped me make that transition into that type of role. And I eventually got hired from that contractor role. And I got hired based on their system of I guess you could say, expertise, not into a core level role, but an associate, advanced level role, which takes a couple years off of, working to try to get that promotion later on. And now lets me move on to the second or the third notch, which would be mastery. And that was because of what I already knew from SPAA, and then just applying those same skills, evaluations, right? So I incorporated things like that into my internship program and all of those kinds of things. So in addition to evaluations, I also made sure to do so taking some of my quote unquote grant writing skills, where you have to learn to negotiate, and using that to explain why we have to invest a lot into interns and not just think of them as students who can do work for you just because they're there, but really work on their development and things like that. So I would take principles of some of the classes and apply them in unique and creative ways that might not necessarily be your first thought, but still worked for the case at the time.
I will also agree. I did feel prepared, even though I'll be honest, similar to what Maria was saying, I feel like when you make such a change in your life, like graduating and getting your first job per se, I think that there's lots of feeling of unpreparedness, uncertainty, there are doubts. But putting that aside, being normal, I did feel prepared. I think that having such great staff as SPAA helped me to get prepared. We have a great, very diverse staff, like the professors. Like I have professors from all walks of life, very knowledgeable, great. The courses, honestly, I felt that they were so hands-on. I feel like they were not so different from reality. I mean, they were not the same, but I feel like it was very hands-on, where you can actually practice things that will prepare you for the future. Even recently, a couple months ago, I was transitioning into a new initiative on my job, in which we are coming up with a new program. And there was like a course, I think it was organizational. I apologize, I cannot recall in detail. But some of those courses that help you how to start an organization, how to start a program. So it's not like you're gonna copy and paste everything that you learn, but just being comfortable with the concept of doing that really helped. Also, doing the internship that is required by SPAA, I think that was great. The fact that they pushed me to pursue such a great internship that will benefit my experience. In the internship that I got, I believe I was a sophomore when I first got the internship. I was able to develop some real life skills And actually, I stood in that same organization for the remaining of my college years. And I was really able to build up my network, my skills, my knowledge, and ultimately that position that I first got as an internship because SPAA required me to get was experience that I was able to speak to recruiters. I was able to speak to hiring people based on that. And I wasn't sure if I was able to get that experience if SPAA wouldn't have pushed me to do it.
Yeah, my experience was very similar to Amali's, and it's, you know, those internships that SPAA require you to do was very helpful for me in really gaining that professional experience, right? I think it's very important that students are able to really take advantage of those opportunities because that's where you learn, and you know, it makes a big difference once you start working full-time professionally, how to be in that certain environment. And so I was very grateful that, you know, that I was given that opportunity as part of our requirement. And yeah, I think that, you know, SPAA academically helped me out a lot in understanding how the nonprofit sector worked and how, you know, public organizations are managed. And I personally feel that it did prepare me to come into a leadership role, to come into a position where, you know, you have to make these decisions, and sometimes it's not easy, right? And we're learning, and I think that you know, you can't be perfect, but you try to do the right thing.
Yeah, that's something that sticks with me, Eric. What you said, it's not about being perfect, it's about trying. And as leaders, and you're already leaders today. You, from starting an internship and just providing solutions and opportunities there, that therefore now navigated to your roles currently, in which your leaders in your current role is just providing a platform for other people, whether those are student interns or incoming employees. So while you're in these leadership roles currently, how do you define leadership, and what skills do you believe are needed for the 21st century?
I can start this one. So I would say that for me, a leader is somebody that has the ability to bring people together to achieve a common mission or goal. Um, and the way this is done can be in different ways. You know, we have people that are more of an introverted. There's people that are more extroverted, but they still have that ability in some way or another. A leader for me is somebody who does not only know how to delegate tasks, but that also care for the people that they work with. I think that for me personally, in every person that I have considered a leader in the past, they all share the same characteristic. They care for people. And again, that can happen at different levels. You know, you can be the CEO of a company, and it's not that you're going to be talking about the personal life of, let's say, the receptionist as you come in, but just asking, you know, how you doing today, or like, you know, how's your morning, you know, showing that and having a heart for those people that share the same goal. Also it's, but you know, generally speaking, it's somebody who has a great ability in doing something. We have leaders in tech, we have leaders in community engagement. You know, that's two different skills, but because they have that in their own field, that makes them a leader. I feel like in the 21st century, being empathetic, being diverse, and really digital literacy. I think, you know, so many things nowadays are tied to social media or just technology in general. So having that skill can make you stand out in a way. And yeah, so um, and the society up together, also social responsibility. I think that we all have, especially being part SPA, we all have a responsibility with our communities, and having that skill can really help you in your role, as you help, in your role as you interact with the community per se or with clients, but also how you interact with those within your own organization.
Yeah, I can go next. And
Oh, it appears that Eric is frozen. Is that right?
Yeah, he's freezing for me as well. Oh, there you go.
Okay, you're back on.
oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. My internet connection is very unstable at the moment. I'm not sure why, but yeah, no,
That's
for
okay.
me, uh yeah, for me, leadership is about being able to disseminate power, center equity, and being an inclusive person in all of the decision making that is done. I think to be a great leader, one must be able to communicate really well with others, to listen, to be aware of the concerns that others might have, and to work collaborative. I think that's very important. Being able to give others opportunity to speak, and to collaborate, to be able to push together for the bigger goal that we have in mind.
I'll go next. So leadership to me is two parts. It's one, having a mission or a vision, a direction essentially, and then two, it's having the ability to influence others towards that direction. And I think that if you only have one, that there will be problems, but if you have the two, then that's what really encompasses true leadership. If you have the ability just to influence people, but don't have a vision, then it's a case of the blind leading the blind. Whereas if you have just the vision, but not the ability to convince people and negotiate and say, this is the right vision, this is the one that we should go towards, then it doesn't matter, because no one's actually following you. And so to me, those are the two key components that I've experienced with that. In the 21st century, in the digital age, where we're plugged in every way, even our refrigerators are giving us notifications. I think that the one of the number one skills to be a good leader is actually to disconnect and really identify who you are as a person without all that noise, really identify what you want your voice to be without other people influencing it, and really looking internally and determining that for yourself is going to be a really important skill. And so I probably have a couple others, but for the sake of time, I think that's really the one I would want to emphasize today.
I think the definition of leadership everyone has mentioned really covered it. I guess I want to talk about the skills. I think listening is a big one that a lot of leaders don't. In general, I think when we are all in a position of like in a leadership position, you tend to have meetings with other folks who are also in leadership positions. And everyone loves to talk, but they don't listen. And I think that is a big skill that is difficult to obtain, and not everyone has it. So to be a good leader, you definitely have to be a good listener. And sometimes that is not talking and just taking that feedback and making sure that you're listening to your staff. And one of the reasons why a lot of things do not change is because we're not listening to our younger staff. And as younger professionals, we definitely sit in rooms, and while we say things and we know that, this is something that we could relate to the younger audience, especially if you're I work in higher ed. So I'm working with students that are coming fresh out from high school. So we're talking about 17, 18-year-olds with a very short attention span. So what are ways that we could capture that? And by one of those is listening to younger staff who are definitely working with the students, who know what's going on, and making sure that you're not also listening to your staff, but also to your students, or whatever you can relate to that, your customers or to your partners, whatever you want to fill in that blank. I think is listening. And you really sometimes need to humble yourself and say, this is some time for me to take a step back and make sure that I'm listening to everyone else. And that can be in the 21st, the 22nd. I think it's a skill that's really, really, really hard to find by. And you can find a leader or a manager that can do that. That's great too, because then you'll see how they'll listen to you and your needs and what that looks like for your progression, especially as Hispanic, Latinx individuals in the workforce.
Something that I heard from everyone, the commonality was listening. That was the big one. And so I'm listening to the chat right now, and it seems like people are raising their hands. And so we have some bit of time to address questions around 6:45. And so if you can hold your questions until then, and then our panelists can address it then. So we talk about listening. I heard bringing people from various perspectives to come together for a common goal. Heard a lot of diversity, empathy, inclusiveness. These are all skills that are needed to be a 21st century leader and just a leader overall. And so the values of SPAA are competence, diversity, knowledge, service, and ethics. So out of those values, out of those SPAA values, which values have been the most salient in your career and or personal life?
For me, my answer is influenced by my city that I'm from, the city of Trenton. So it's going to sound a little shady, but the truth is that there has been a lot of chaos, and there has been a lot of disorganization in leadership in my own community, which we have felt for many years, from cases of corruption or cases of incompetence. And so for me, competence is actually that number one value that really sticks out to me, because I think to be competent is to be ethical, right? To to make sure that you know what you're doing, and you are what you say you are, essentially is really important. And I think that in my career, I've tried really hard to make sure that whatever I produce is quality, and whatever I produce is what is needed, and is done the right way. And so it has the same negative effects as our panelists mentioned earlier, where you feel like maybe oh, I'm not ready for this, so I can't do it. And although I think there is a balance between learning as you go, and then also having the skill sets and to be able to do that job, and being able to figure that out for yourself, I still find the idea of competence really important. And so, yeah, there is that struggle that everybody mentioned. And so that imposter syndrome, I think, is the title, but competence is a big focus for me, because my community has suffered for a lack of it for many years because of, and I'll leave it there. Again, I don't want to be shady.
I'll go next. I think ethics, and we chose public administration because I think we all have a very similar foundation of being public servants, and how we could dedicate our livelihood to the better good and to other people. And in order to do that, you need to have a strong moral and ethic view. And it's very hard to find individuals that really are dedicated to becoming or to be public servants, especially young people. And with ethics comes, competence, and it comes with diversity and the reason why you want to serve. And that's definitely very hard to come by. So when we say SPAA is a very small school, we really mean it. It's a very small school because very few people do take this route. But I think ethics would be the value that I hold the most within my career.
I can go next, and hopefully my I don't freeze because I've been having really unstable connection. But I would have to agree with what you know Maria has said, and Simon as well, about ethics, and that's really important, especially here in New Jersey, working in public policy and politics. It's something that is, it's all across. You see this at you see this in local, state, and at the federal level, right? All these sort of scandals and corruptions. And we came into public service because we wanted to be able to make a difference in our communities, right? We wanted to make a difference in the lives of others. And being able and seeing what other public servants sometimes are doing, or the example that they're showing, is sort of discouraging, right? So for me, being an ethical person is very important. uh Being somebody that respects that trust that people give when you're serving, right? When you're working as a public servant, as a civil servant person in government, or as an elected official, it's very important to have that uh in you, to be a good person, right? And the other one would be diversity, which I think that for me is key in everything, right? I think in all these spaces that we are, I think there should be a diverse group of people leading the way, because it just makes things better, right? Being able to have different perspectives, different opinions. I think that it makes everyone have a voice. And so for me, those would be the two core sort of values that I carry on with me, and I try to always emphasize on in whatever space or room I am.
So for me, I would say service, both my professional and personal life. But especially when it comes to my professional life, that's literally what I do. I serve people. I try to advocate for those who don't are not as aware. I try to be a voice for them. I try to be a point of guidance. I think that all of us are aware of some cracks that are in the systems that serve us. And sometimes those systems are in place, but they're not effective for the people that they serve. So I think that sometimes service can be translated into different things. And for me, it's kind of filling in those gaps, and make sure that people are being aware and people are getting what they need. Um, and understanding why do you serve, being clear, why do you do what you do, sometimes brings a little bit of ethics, kind of like if you know why you're helping people, sometimes that keeps you on track to make sure that your ethics are at the highest expectation. And then also just being eager to serve the best you can makes you want to become more knowledgeable once you want to become more competent in your own field. And I'm speaking for personal experience. There's been plenty of things that as a young professional I do not know, or that did not know how to do, but I seek the proper channel so I can learn, so I can better serve, because the same way I would like my family to be served, I would like to serve others.
Thank you for that. And service at SPAA, that is one of the reasons why most, if not all, chose our degree in the first place, I think personally. But it seems as if we all came from various backgrounds, different perspectives. The common ground is we all went to SPAA, but SPAA has led us into different careers and different paths in our lives. So looking back as to when you were a student, and then now you being a leader in your current profession, in your current life, what advice would you give to current SPAA students today?
I can go. And for me, is my advice is just to be involved, right? To take advantage of all the opportunities that Rutgers has and SPA has available to you. I think it makes a huge difference being involved, being engaged in all the programs, internships, different things that they have. I think one, you're able to learn more. Two, you're able to connect with a lot more people, make more friends, and just be able to build your network. And I think that's very important, right? Networking is something that is extremely important, especially if you if you want to go into like public policy, and if you want to be able to connect with communities, or you want to pursue a career in service, right, or a nonprofit. I think it's very important. I think I froze again, sorry. But yeah, and I think that would be my advice, to just really be engaged and be involved.
I think for me, it would be, since we have to do internships, and we have to, its requirement is for one. I think strive to do as many internships as you can, and that way in different fields, so you can have a sense as to what you want to do, because the public sector is so big and there's so many things you can do within it. And if you could, there possibility, I know it's very difficult, but there are opportunities, if you know the correct people within SPAA and then within Rutgers, if you can go to DC and really get that experience to see like the public sector and like the capital, and see where all things are really started and finished, I think it would be great, specifically for public servants and individuals who really want to do policy. So I think that's one of the pieces of advice that I went to DC, it really just changed my perspective too. As a college student, I'd never lived outside of the state of New Jersey, so getting to be there was really amazing. And I got to see other options, that this is bigger than just New Jersey, that I can make an impact not just on a state level, I can do it on a federal level. So I think is aim high, dream big, and don't let anything stop you.
So I would say, and I'm kind of gonna divide into three to be more clear. First one is like some of those projects that you get in class, they're very helpful. Like I work in a nonprofit, and I have found myself, and I think I mentioned that earlier, thinking back about some of the things that I learned in some of the courses. The second one, it's network. And I feel like that's something that everybody says, and it's just left and right. So what I would tell you is to develop a network system. Network is not only about, just going up to somebody and giving a business card and say who you are, but it goes beyond that. Just keeping in contact with that person. If it helps, having an Excel sheet and writing the name of that person, so you can follow up within 3 months, within a year, if they have events, if they have things that you can attend, just show like that attention. Again, just develop whatever works best for you. And the last one is, it's your mentality. I think that what I would advise is that set high goals for yourself and think about them as if somebody told you that just by going after them, you would achieve them. Because I feel like that would really eliminate some of the barriers that you are putting yourself in. So just think about it like that. Let's say, if I will guarantee that just by going after this goal, you will achieve them, would you do it? So set those goals.
Going off of or adding to what Eric mentioned earlier, definitely get involved in whatever way you can in school, but really anywhere. If it's an organization or helping a professor or helping administration, whatever it is, definitely get involved. I think that helps do a lot of things like networking, like Amelie just said, excuse me. And it also gives you an opportunity to now practice what you're going to be learning in the classroom. And so I remember taking all the lessons that I learned and doing my best to apply them. And so my favorite example, because I think about this one often, is restructuring a constitution for an organization I was involved in during my undergraduate studies. And that really helped me get a real understanding of what it's like to influence our impact policy, because the Constitution is the the foundation for anything that's going to come after. And even if it's something simple, it's giving me an understanding of how to write a constitution for a nonprofit. It's giving me an understanding of how that's going to impact an organization, even if it's kind of like a semi-informal organization. I'm still learning how that builds off each other. And so that's just one example. And I have that opportunity because I was involved and was in, a position of leadership. And then that's a practice in and of itself. So then when you go into the workforce, now you're going to be able to, and this is to my second piece of advice, take notes and keep all the slideshows. Now you're going to be able to continue to learn how to implement that learnings that you received in the classroom. And so be involved, apply that learning, and then just continue to, like a cycle, take that learning, apply it, fix it, do it better next time, and reference those notes. So that's definitely what's been really, 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 really helpful for me in my career.
Networking is the big one that I'm hearing from everyone on here. And networking can be done in various ways. Right now, this is a networking opportunity. We have panelists right now who are on this panel trying to share their experiences with everyone who is joining right now. And here are their names. You can reach out to them. You could say, hey, that really stuck with me, what you said. So can we connect? We can grab coffee. Use these opportunities, whether in person or virtual, to get your name out there. Ask questions on the live audiences. I know a lot of times there's some really outgoing people and there's more introverted people, right? But I think in the virtual space, it allows everyone to go ask questions instead of just raising your hand in an audience, someone coming up to you in a microphone saying, hey, what's your question? And then you freezing. These virtual settings that we're hosting right now allows everyone to have a platform to raise their voice and to ask those questions and to learn and apply those learning to their roles, whether it's professionally or personally. And so I want to segue into Q&A from the audience and want to see if anyone here has questions for the panelist. Okay, so I have one question. It says, be the change that you wish to see in the world, by Gandhi. I am a proud SPAA alumni 2014. I know, and I love everything I am hearing in the panel. Communication and ability to listen are a big topic on the webinar. As new leaders on your respective areas of work, what else would you consider to be your number one value to bring to the table? Understanding that charismatic leaders are great listeners as well. So what else would you consider to be the number one value you bring to the table? That is the question.
I would say for me, and the answer just popped in my head because it just happened so recently at my job. The fact that I have my ethnic background, like I do speak a different language and I do have a connection with the Hispanic community, has allowed me to bring value into my position, into my organization. We had a program that we wanted to expand, and I was the only person in my organization. I am the only one who speaks Spanish. So I was able to bring in, to expand and to bring in more clients and help more people in the community because of my ethnic background and the skills that I bring with it.
For me, I would say I would say empathy, and that's really understanding other people's perspectives and and where they're coming from. For me, as a working as a funder and providing monetary support to different organizations, oftentimes organizations come to me and my boss, and talking about the different issues they're facing. And I think really understanding where they're coming from, what are their needs, and how I can be a better partner, or how we can be better partners, is very important in helping accelerate the work that they're doing, because they're on the ground doing the critical work, right? The work that is hard, the advocacy, right? Advocating for progressive policies that will make a difference in the lives of many communities, right? So I think that being empathetic is very important, and being able to know where you can make a difference and make their lives easier of the people that you work with is very important.
I can answer that too. I think creating partnerships with stakeholders, and that's something SPA really definitely helped. I think in almost every class we had, there was a project where we needed to go contact someone, and to a CEO or to a president or to a nonprofit. And it definitely got us out of our really shy selves. And I'm having this conversation with this CEO of this company, and I was a sophomore or a junior. And that really helped me when in my position, because I can call now people that I know in different fields and say, I need help. I mean, with Eric, I called him last semester, and I'm like, I need you to be on a panel for X, Y, and Z. So I can do that now because I was able to create those relationships within SPA, as well as within the community. So I think building relationships and maintaining them are also very, very critical skills.
So for me, I think that the answer is kind of like an indirect answer. So I'm a Christian, and that's my faith, and I find that to be a big part of my life, and a lot of my decision making, relationship building, and even perspectives on what leadership is and things like that really do come from my church community, and it comes from reading the Bible and really trying to learn what it's telling me about the world. And so it really, I think, is the value that I bring, because I take the time to get to know someone and hear them out, because I've learned to do that through my church. I take unique perspectives on what leadership means, and what service really means as a leader or as not a leader. And I really try to implement that in the work that I do. And that's really been my my anchor from being in a private company, interning for a nonprofit, studying at SPA. It's really been the thing that has guided that decision making. And so that's been a really important part of what I believe is the value I bring to those I work with.
Thank you. It seems as if all questions have been answered. Yep,
I see
that's
that.
the only question.
But
if anyone else has questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A chat that we have available on the Zoom option. If not,
Claudia, there's
you can
one
email after the panel.
in the chat.
There's some in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So what have been, thank you, Maria. What have been some challenges as young leaders in the current workforce to ensure your voice is heard?
I think just being young in and of itself, it's easy for someone you're working with to go straight to your director instead of come to you, when it's actually in your scope and it's in your responsibility to handle something. And then I guess the solution to that is having a director that supports you, who just says, yeah, no, go talk to Simon, and redirects it and doesn't answer it, but then shows them, hey, this is actually who you go to. But just being young in and of itself is the challenge. And so having patience has been my way of getting past that. So not telling someone, hey, why would you do that? Talk to me, or trying to feel some type of way about it, but just thinking to myself, well, it is because I'm young, and I'm okay with that. I'm gonna prove myself, and it may take some time, but at the end of the day, it didn't impact my ability to do the work. It didn't impact my time in which I delivered it. It was on time. And if it's not influencing that stuff, it's really just more of an inconvenience than it is an actual hindrance to my career. And so that perspective really is important for me. But that's really just being young and looking young is the challenge.
Yeah, I think looking young really, really is a big deal for me because I work with college students and they all think that I'm a college student. So there's a difference between working in corporate and working with college students. It's just really difficult. So I have to look professional all the time, which is perfectly fine. But I don't get upset anymore. I used to get really upset. It really got to me. So I realized that I'm going to look like this. It's the Latin gene for the next 10 years. And I have to be okay with it. So I've just come to terms with it, which is great. Now I take it as a compliment, but I definitely sometimes have to just be a little louder than some people, so I can get that response that I need.
Yeah, I would have to agree with what Maria and Simon have said, and that is just just being young, right? Being a young person in a position of power sometimes, right? Or a position of like where you're able to make big decisions and have influence over things that it will impact the lives of other people. Sometimes it is difficult, and there's a lot of self-doubt that sometimes that I personally just have, not what other people are perceiving me, but just me. And it's a challenge, right? But I think that I've been learning a lot, and thankfully I have had a supportive boss who's been very helpful, and I've been lucky with that because not that many places you have that, right? Where your team supports you and they try to give you that space to be able to make those decisions.
Yeah, I would have to agree with everybody else. Just being young and looking young. I think for me, I'm the youngest person in my organization. And I think that can be divided into two aspects. I think Erica was saying something about that in terms of like, there is the perception that, people have of you as a young person, what you're capable of, things you can't do, but also as he was saying, also like the limitations that you put to your own self because of your age, because of your experience. So I would say like ask questions. Something that I have worked great for me is that I tend to have small conversations with different upper management. And I think that through those smaller conversations, and I have offered my service and my help in an individual basis, and kind of building that capacity individually with those that you work directly. And then, kind of seeking the opportunity that when you're able to establish those smaller or overcome the smaller obstacles, you're able to bring your voice into a bigger space. So as Simon said, just be patient. And it is hard sometimes because you got to prove yourself. So sometimes you got to work very hard because there might be things that you don't know because you haven't experienced it. Again, we're still young professionals. So maybe you have to do more research to see how other people have done it. But that does not mean that you need to be afraid to ask questions and show that you do not know certain things, because I think it has worked in my favor when I have been transparent in terms that maybe I'm not, I think I need more guidance to accomplish something, but then kind of seeking that, that support and kind of proving that, oh, you show me how to do this, I would learn it, I would do it, and I will keep doing it. And I think that will kind of build in your your image in the eyes of other people.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Eric. In this panel, we all heard about what it takes to be a leader, what skills we've developed as leaders in the 21st century, and what skills that need to be developed in order to become successful within your organization, and how networking is a huge opportunity for everyone to influence your career trajectory and just develop friendships that you never would have thought to develop. And so, with that in mind, I want to direct it back to Director Choi, who will provide us more networking opportunities that you can attend.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Claudia, Maria, Amelie, Simon, and Eric. This was really impactful. You gave great information for our current students as well as the next generation of leaders. For those who are attending, please continue to follow us on social media. Follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, and especially our LinkedIn page. There is a group that is specifically for SPAA alumni. It is Rutgers School of Public Affairs and Administration, alumni and friends. The next event that we have upcoming for the month of October is we are having an MPA open house on Saturday, October the 8th from 2 to 4. So share it with your friends and fellow students and colleagues that the benefit of getting an MPA degree. On October 11th, we are having a live stream Big Ten conversation, democracy and collaboration, where the Chief Counsel to Chief Justice Roberts will be doing a conversation. For the rest of the month, we are also having an internship information session with New Jersey Transit on October the 19th and October the 25th and the 27th. We are having an internship information session with the GAO office, the Government Accountability Office. It is a federal watchdog group that actually provides information to Congress, both sides of the table. The key with that is they are looking for SPAA students, SPAA alumni, because they're looking for policy analysts and they're looking for interns. They are paid internships. The thing about this is important is that they only hire from their internship pool. So the conversation around internships is really important, whether you are a graduate student or an undergraduate student. And to close out October, in November 2nd, we are offering our first alumni cocktail reception. We are looking for all SPAA alumni to come in person, not in the Hollywood squares, to campus to network, as everyone has said. But here you have an opportunity to share and meet other alumni from the School of Public Affairs and Administration. In recognition and celebration of a Hispanic Heritage Month, I want to thank our panelists. But before we close out this session, I want to take a moment of silence for one of our alumni, Gabriela Sevilla. Gabriela Sevilla was involved in an accident that has actually caused her to have brain damage. And so at this moment, she and her family is at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Gabriela Sevilla was an undergraduate from SPAA who graduated in 2015, earned a law degree from Howard University Law in 2019. And in 2020, she was one of our panelists in this conversation about the next generation of leaders. I had the fortunate opportunity to go to Maryland yesterday. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge one of our aspiring leaders who has been doing some phenomenal work in the DC area around homelessness. And at this moment, we just want to extend our prayers to her family as they need to make some difficult decisions. So with that being said, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are the next generation of leaders, and always know if there is anything that I can help you to transform this world, please know SPAA is always there. For those who attended tonight and participated and engaged in this conversation, thank you, and continue to follow us as we continue creating spaces and places for the next generation of leaders. Have a good evening, everyone.